Are you on the sidelines thinking about buying a house, but you're terrified of interest rates? I'm looking at this right here that says interest rates today are at 6.3. We closed on a house yesterday for our buyers. They didn't pay 6.3, they paid 3.8. Stick around to find out how. What's up, YouTube family? Jono and Holly here with the Selling North Dallas Real Estate team. Holly, I think it's time for another market update. What do you say?
Every week.
Now, is anything really changing? Can we just point to last week, or do we actually have some new stuff to talk about?
You know, if we look at this Altos report, we can point to last week, right? We're seeing this really steady micro movements. You can see here on the little dial, right, from last month to this month, we didn't even lose a fraction of a tank of gas, right? So we took those kind of big hits over the summer. And I say big hits, right? We went from driving 100 miles an hour to driving 85 miles an hour maybe. So we took that big hit. We took that little reduction. We saw more inventory hit the market. So all of those things are kind of holding steady.
Keep it steady.
And we're seeing those just incrementally creep us closer to this buyer's market. One thing I want to point out is you and I have talked a little bit about a really stable market, or what we would call kind of our normal market in North Texas, is about 4 months of inventory, which means a house could sit on the market for 3 to 4 months without going under contract, and we would call that normal. We're seeing here this average days on market, right? It's creeping up, creeping up, creeping up. We're at 47 days on market. That's a whole lot more than 24, or, we go back into the spring months, early spring, and we were having 3 days on market for a lot of listings. So 47 is more than 3, but it's a heck of a lot less than 120 days on market. It feels scary for people really living through the last 2 years and really the last 18 months of what our market was doing and be so strong on the seller side that we're not crashing, we're settling, we're stabilizing. And that's why we look at this data week over week, because if we come in here next week and we see a big drastic change, that's going to be significant. Really what we're seeing is a lot of softening. I say a lot, little pieces of softening, little, week by week. I would say our big news this week that I want to chat with you about is interest rates, because I think that's the biggest change in our market this week that could have a little bit of a ripple effect over the coming weeks and months.
Yeah, it looks like that today's 30-year fixed, in terms of interest rate, the 30-year fixed rate today is 6.3%, and the 30-year FHA is 5.56. So Holly, for people that maybe don't know, what does all that stuff even mean? 30-year fixed at 6.3 versus 30-year FHA. What's the difference in conventional and FHA, and why the heck should people even care?
Yeah, I hate to get out of my lane, because really we're real estate professionals, not mortgage professionals, but I do want to touch on it a little bit, because FHA has a couple of things that are benefits, right? You can go in at potentially 3% down. So let's talk about a $400,000 house. 3% down is $12,000. That's doable for a lot of folks, right? So an FHA loan has a ton of advantages. There are some fees associated with it that offset that a little bit, but it allows you to get into a home when maybe you couldn't with a conventional. So conventional loans, you're going to have more money down. Your interest rates are going to adjust and change a little bit based on how much money you're able to put down, right? Up to 20% for investment properties. So there's all these little factors that go into it. What I think people are seeing and hearing and feeling, and really they're hearing it from, the national media, which is disaster sells, right? So the sky is falling, interest rates are rising, everything's crashing.
It's the end of the world.
That can be a national media headline and not actually be effective to your own life. It really may have no relevance on your needs, your goals, your timing, because every single individual has different circumstances. If your job is going to relocate you out of state and you own a property, you need to make a decision. You need to sell it, or you need to figure out how to lease it out, or you need to do something else with it.
Yeah, that's good.
This market's irrelevant if you have to make a move, or you really need to make a move. Maybe you've been renting and you need to get into the market. Mm-hmm. It is a good time to buy. It's a better time to buy than it has been for the last 2 years. So we had a lot of really good benefits, even though we're hearing these national headlines of the sky is falling. interest rates and crashing and all these things are going on.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting. We were sitting in a closing yesterday with a client that we'd been working with for quite a while. They actually bought down their interest rate. So when you see things like 6.3 or 5.56, it doesn't inherently mean that you're shackled to that interest rate.
Release me! No!
And this is why who you hire matters. The lending partner that we connected with on this transaction, they had the opportunity to buy down their points. So they're actually getting a much better interest rate than what you see here. And it all that was an option that worked for that client. The options were put out on the table and they didn't have to be embarrassed, if that's even fair word to say. But I know how you people are. Sometimes you go to the cocktail party, or little Johnny's soccer practice, and you're telling people you just bought a house, and somebody asks that fateful question, what kind of interest rate did you get? And you're embarrassed to say 6.3. That doesn't have to be your story.
Yeah, and you want to know the best part of that story? The seller bought down the interest rate for the buyer. We negotiated that for them. Like 2.5 points, by the way. It was a lot. It wasn't a little bit. It was a significant reduction in their monthly payment, and we had the seller actually do that during our negotiation process. We came back and asked for some money based on repairs and what the client's goals were. It worked out. We were able to get them in at a great rate. Their appraisal also came back about $35,000 more than they paid for the house. So this is the buyer's market we love.
What exactly does that mean? The appraisal came in $35,000 over the contract price. So what? What does that mean to the layperson?
Well, so this is actually 2 layers, right? So yes, we contracted at $400,000. The appraisal from the bank, right? Every lender is going to require an appraisal. They want to make sure that their asset is strong if they're going to, lend money on it. Mm-hmm. So the appraiser comes in, they look at market values for other recent home sales that are similar to that particular property. And the lender said, hey, we would have loaned up to $435,000 towards that value. The buyer walks in with $35,000 equity, technically, because today's current value is $435,000. They closed and contracted at $400,000. And here's the best part. The $12,000 we used to buy down the rate that the sellers gave us was part of that $400,000. So it kind of rolled into the buyer's loan. The seller gave it back. We bought down their points. And it was such a win-win, especially after 2 years of my poor buyers, bringing their firstborn and offering a year of tacos and babysitting to sellers.
My firstborn.
This was such a breath of fresh air. We're back to North Texas real estate that I love, that I enjoy, that's good for both sides.
I love hearing that. There's so many people that are on the sidelines, and maybe you're one of them, where you're afraid to go out and even start looking for fear of what these interest rates are. Again, who you hire matters. All real estate agents do not have access to the same inventory or the same interest rates. It a lot of times goes back to who you decide to partner with and their skill set. One of the conversations that Holly, you and I were having earlier was this idea of connection, not sales. And we kind of pride ourselves on being a real estate company that is just going to tell it to you like it is. If you want to know our opinion, we're happy to give that, but we want to ask so many questions. We want to connect with you and find out what's really important in your scenario, and then offer guidance based on where you're at in your life. So Holly, what exactly does that mean for somebody that's thinking about jumping into the market right now?
Yeah, I think what it means from my perspective is I know there's nothing worse in my opinion than walking onto a car lot, right? And the car salesman is just basically like a monkey on your back trying to take you down and get you to sign those papers, even if you're not even sure you want a car, you just had questions about a car, you're just kind of shopping, you want information, you're trying to educate yourself. And I think to me that is such a turnoff that my entire philosophy is I am just here to be a resource. I'm here to be a resource. I'm here to educate. I'm here to help people get those questions answered because we want the education, but we don't want to be tackled in the parking lot to buy the car. And I feel that way about real estate. I think buyers and sellers get really nervous if I reach out and ask a question, they're just gonna start calling me every day, or they're just gonna, sell my email address or whatever they think we're gonna do. We're not that scary. Some of us won't answer their phone at all. So if you call them, they won't even answer. So you're pretty safe there. But if you call us or reach out to us or fill out that little form in the comments, we're gonna call you back and we're gonna give you the information that you're asking for. And I think that's the difference. I think we really come from a place of being a resource, providing value, educating, answering questions, right? I don't have all the answers, but I have a lot of great people that I keep in my toolbox that have all the answers.
Yeah.
So, and whether you think of yourself as an investor or not, if you are buying a home or you own a home, you are an investor. You are an investor in real estate, even if you're not cash flowing that property. If you're living in it, you're investing in real estate, because that's really where your wealth is being built.
Yeah, that's so good. I had a guy that reached out to us last week. His first right out of the box, he didn't want to fill out the Google form. He just called me and was surprised that I answered the phone. And he mentioned, there's this house that I'm looking at. Is right now a good time for me to buy? And this is at the beginning of the conversation. And I said, well, if I'm being completely candid with you, I don't know anything about you or your scenario. So if you'll allow me to ask you some questions, I can help you nail that down. So will you humor me and let's do some discovery? And we ended up having a great conversation, and now we're working with him as a buyer. So I think it takes some people aback when they expect the sales pitch and they don't get it. We really are here to be a guide and a resource. I feel like we covered a lot of real estate. Anything I'm leaving out, Holly?
I don't think so. Like, subscribe. I don't know, where are we gonna subscribe?
Yeah, let's put the subscribe button right here. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and click the button and be sure to turn on notifications. And if you appreciate content like this, hit the like button, give us the thumbs up, and until next time.
Bye, Felicia.